Hi, this is Sadie Anderson, and I am just here to share with you my child progress report. For today, I'm going to be calling my student JF. She's a 64-month-old female. She was born November 29th in 2014. I chose to do my observations at Hopeful Beginnings, and I found that she's a visual learner, at least at this age, which the teacher did tell me was fairly normal for this age group, so that may change as she develops more. She had an English-speaking home, so that was not a disadvantage for her. And then she also came from very, very supportive parents. Her mom is actually an elementary teacher, and so she does lots of learning with her at home, even when she's not at preschool, so she was set up very well educationally. As for JF's physical development, she is doing really, really well. I found that she was really good at spatial awareness. I figured that out through a dance. She and a friend were dancing in the middle of the carpet, and they never bonked each other. They were very aware of where the other was. And then I also found she had really good foot coordination. She was playing soccer, and she had very small hesitations between her movements, which is always a really good indicator that foot coordination is there. I did find that her finger strength was a little low. Every time we were playing Uno, her cards would drop when she was trying to lay one down. So I do think that's something that I would work on with an activity. And then I also found that at times her hand-eye coordination was off, but I also think that that's very, very common at this age, just to not be paying attention and for the ball to register late. But I did notice that, and so hopefully that continues to develop with different activities that are incorporated into the classroom. As for JF's cognitive development, I found that she had a really strong retaining rate. I asked her a lot about what she'd been learning throughout the week, and they were on an insect unit, and so she was able to tell me so many different facts about ants. And when she wasn't super confident, the teacher would give her supportive questions, and she would remember the information well. And so I was just really impressed that she could recall the facts that the teacher had talked about on Monday by the time that I was there. As for a child's weakness, I did see that there was a lack of consistency in spelling especially. I noticed this within her name. She would know how to spell her name, but often she was missing 1 to 2 letters. And so I just found that to be very interesting, that it was at times correct and at times incorrect. And so I think just giving her an activity that really hit home the consistency factor of this is how you spell something, and now we're going to spell it right as much as we can. So as a teacher, I would definitely be looking for her to be spelling her name right at least 90% of the time. And I would say that she was not quite at that level yet. JF's language development is perhaps the thing that I was most impressed by. She was able to articulate herself incredibly well. She also used very creative words. An example of the creative words would be that she would make up a song very often to describe how she's feeling or what she's doing. And they would just come so naturally to her, and you could just tell that she loved it. She'd just end up giggling to herself, and she just loved making these little musical songs. And they were just actually very well worded, and I was just very impressed by that. And then as for articulating her thoughts and directions, she was able to explain to both her peers and I her thinking behind what she was trying to say. An example of this is when we were playing Uno. She was explaining to her friend why it was my turn and not her friend's turn. She said something along the lines of, well, it was your turn and then it was my turn, so now it's the teacher's turn, not yours. And it was just really, really well articulated for that age group, which really, really impressed me. I think like most kids, JF's social and emotional development was kind of all over the place. She had a lot of really strong strengths, but she is just a little youngin', and so there were moments where you could just see that she wasn't super mature in this, but you can't really expect that. Some strengths that I saw was she had really, really strong listening skills. Her teacher rarely had to redirect her and actually often used her as the model, saying, oh, I love how JF is standing. I wish my other friends was standing like that, or whatever that situation may be. And she was a really good rule follower. She was really consistent in her rest time. She played really well with friends. There were not very many times that friends and her disagreed. And if they did disagree, they were rarely handled poorly. However, there was a lack of coping skills, and this was really on display when her mom was leaving her at drop-off. There would be tears and just sadness and moping, and she would just want to go to the corner by herself and just cry for a while, which is why I chose this picture of this little girl on a chair with a teddy bear, because that is essentially what she would want to do. She would just kind of want to shut out the world and just be by herself and just be sad. Oftentimes, snuggles from teachers or asking a friend to go play with her would kind of get her out of that. And once she was out of it, she soared through the day. Just that initial drop-off was really, really tricky on her little heart. So you just had to feel a little sad for her every time mom dropped her off. But you could tell that she did love school once the day got going. So yeah, that's a little bit about my student JF. And I'm just so impressed by her, and I had so much fun observing her. I wish that I would have been able to do it more often, but it was just great. So I hope you learned a little bit.